This is Lily with another Transgirl CNC, where we talk about comics, cartoons, and other awesome nerd shit. So, last week I said we talk about All New Wolverine. This week, taking a dive back into the story, since so many things have happened since we last left off from it, that I think is really good time to talk about, especially with Orphans of X having started this month, which is excellent, by the way. In case you haven't, in case you're not already reading it, you totally should be. But before we get into that, we're going to turn now to our Things You Might Have Missed segment. It's comic books, things that, cartoons, animes, that I think you'd really enjoy that might have just flown into your radar for whatever reason. And for this week, we're taking a look at Tyson Heese's Diesel Ignition. From Boombox Studios. Tyson Heese worked on The Amazing World of Gumball, and it's obvious that when he was working on that, he was really making notes, doing things, whatever he had to do to make a completely fleshed out world for this story, because it doesn't take place in any universe that I've personally ever been to before, so it's really, really good. It centers around Dee Diesel, who is kind of a spunky brat, and she finds herself in the middle of this huge conspiracy thing. I don't want to give too much away because it's really good. As you can see, the artwork's really cute. There's Dee right there at the front with her little robot friend. I forget his actual name. She gives him so many, I think, through the entire thing. It's been a while since I've personally picked this up. I got it last month. But yeah, it's really good. There's airships, there's magic, it's real steampunk fantasy, and if you really enjoy that kind of thing, then this is totally right up your alley, and you should check it out. So once again, that's Tyson Heese's Diesel Ignition from Boombox Studios. They do a lot of really cool comics like Lumberjanes and Jonesy and all other kinds of things, so check that out. It's really good. But moving on to our main topic this week is All New Wolverine from Marvel. This is issue 22. I picked it out because I really like the cover. It's Laura fighting with the Guardians of the Galaxy for whatever reason. No, there's a reason for that. She actually... Anyway, look, there's no reason. Yes, she's palling around with the Guardians of the Galaxy for a few issues. But we'll get into that. So, the last time we talked about All New Wolverine and Laura and what she was going through, Civil War #2 was still going on, and Laura was about to be possibly blamed for the death of an entire small town. And so, and that was the start of our Enemy of the State storyline, which was kind of interesting in and of itself, because it turned out, of course, she was framed. Totally framed. Of course, she thought she did because, a bunch of trigger sense dropped down, and, of course, as you know, Laura really can't control herself around the trigger sense. It sends her into a violent, murdery rage, and she felt she can't remember. Sometimes she can remember what happened, sometimes she can't, but she woke up to a bunch of dead people, basically. And she went on the run, because what else are you going to do? So, she gathers up Gabby and Jonathan. Jonathan, if you'll remember, is the family Wolverine. He's an actual Wolverine. He's one of my favorite characters. It's great. So, she gathers up Gabby and Jonathan, and she's going to go to Madripoor to talk with somebody to see maybe what's going on, who would be looking for her, who's dropping trigger sense so that she murders all these people. And of course, along the way, she gets betrayed. Double-crossed in the worst kind of way. Her ride turns out to be taking children to Madripoor, slave trade. It's awful. And the captain, betrays her to S.H.I.E.L.D. because she's a wanted woman. And she has to go through all these things just to get to Madripoor. And she doesn't even really get to Madripoor the way she wants to. She gets taken by Kimura, who was her handler at the facility. The facility, of course, created her, and Kimura put her through, like, an entire load of shit. Like, really, she was terrible to Laura throughout her entire childhood. If you don't know about her, she has completely unbreakable skin. She's indestructible, which is why she made the perfect handler for Laura, because Laura can't, cut her up and whatnot. So, it's good foil. The last time we saw her was in an X-Men series, and Emma Frost had erased her entire memories about Laura, so I don't even know why she's there. Probably because the facility restored those memories, or something. Or maybe just the psychic effects wore off, or Emma removed the psychic blocks. Who knows? I don't. But she's there, and she wants to employ Laura as a weapon again, so that she can take over Madripoor. And Laura's like, no, I'm not going to do that, I'm the hero now. I really love Laura. And, you can go fucking suck it. And she's like, well, I've got the trigger sense. You can't resist the trigger sense. So I'm just going to pump you full of it and, like, shoot you off like a bullet. And whoever dies in the process, dies in the process. That's how that works. And so she does. Shoots her right into, like, Tiger's building. Tiger is an interesting woman. I don't know much about her, other than she kind of used to be a cop, sort of, in Madripoor. Madripoor is a weird place, right? There's no law and order to an extent. It's not total chaos, but it's pretty chaotic. So, Laura gets shot in there. She's pumped full of trigger sense. She's killing guards left and right. Of course, Gabby, this entire time, has figured out how to get to Madripoor. She's, like, turned the boat around where they save the kids from. And she's even called in a friend. She calls in Gambit to help, find Laura and stop her before she does anything that she'll regret, like killing a bunch of people. And that's a really interesting scene. I don't know. Maybe I know that I'm not the only one, obviously, who's read the X-23 series, but Gambit was a really good role model for Laura, surprisingly, throughout that, because, he's kind of he's not always the best role model or person to be around, so he actually subdues Laura by blowing her up. Like, I'm just like, these are, like, I should be giving you the broad strokes of this, instead of, like, spoiler. But, I'm just so excited about it. Anyway, they recapture Laura, and, like, bring in Jean Grey to help her get over the trigger scent. And it works, and not only is Laura cured the trigger sense, she gets rid of Kimura, and it turns out she was framed for the murder of that town that she thought she killed by Kimura and Belladonna. Belladonna being another one of Laura's clones, the same way that Gabby is, and Laura's name is entirely cleared. It's really cool. There's a scene with Nick Fury, for whatever reason, because S.H.I.E.L.D., and yeah, that happens. And you would think that she would have time to rest. Now, if you're really not caught up with this series, obviously I'm dropping all the spoilers, but this was like the most recent story before we got to Orphans of X. And so spoilers, like, straight up. Like, there's no rest for Laura, because as soon as they're done with this, an alien appears on Roosevelt Island in New York, and before she dies, she says Laura's name, and then the virus starts spreading, and then it turns out Laura and other people, like Laura, people with healing factors, are the cure for the virus. Like, it's a really big thing that, like, they don't know why Laura's name was mentioned, or anything like that. They just know that Laura was mentioned, so they bring her along, and they cure Roosevelt Island of all of the infection that's, like, breaking them down. Like, Laura almost dies. Like, she almost sacrifices herself to save these people. And then she shoots off into space to go to the aliens' home planet to see, if there's still the same virus there, and if that's why she was mentioned, why she was needed. And so, there you have it. And so she ends up on a planet after taking off with the Guardians of the Galaxy to get her there. Like, it's pretty, I like the Guardians of the Galaxy. I read that comic. It's pretty good. Drax is currently a pacifist for reasons, good reasons. Maybe we'll talk about that someday. Anyway, she gets there. It's a big deal. The Brood are there. Like, it's crazy town and crazy sauce. So she has to deal with the Brood. Gabby gets captured by the Brood and turned into a Brood queen. It's just, like, so huge. I mean, Gabby's okay now. Like I said, spoilers, so, it's your own fault for being spoiled. But so many things just keep happening to Laura. She has to overcome all these things. And she becomes, like, just like a better person. Like, Gabby's now her sidekick. Goes on missions with her. Like, she's really coming into her own as, like, this adult superhero. She's so far from where she started, from her time on the X-Men, when she was running around with the young X-Men, which was not good. I don't know if she's still dating Warren. Warren's a terrible choice for her, but she has awful taste in men. 100%. I just want her and Jubilee to, like, date, because I think that would be really good for them. But that'll never happen. That's my own thing. But what I like about Laura is, like, how she overcomes things. How she keeps going, and I think that makes her a really great hero. Some people will say that, she should have her own book. She shouldn't be under the title of Wolverine. But I think it really works for her. She really embodies everything that Logan could have been. Not that Logan was always awful, but he wasn't always great. And I guess, Laura isn't always great, but she's really trying hard. She doesn't have as much of his emotional baggage and issues from, years of being on X-Men. He's over 200 years old. And so she doesn't have all of that carrying her down. And I think even with all the stuff that she has gone through, she's really matured from it. Other than the main series, there was the Generations comics, where Laura goes back into the past and helps Wolverine, Logan, where Laura and Logan do a mission together. He doesn't know who she is because, in the past, they saved his daughter. It's like an old story. And, like, they have such a touching moment together. I really cried. I cried really hard. I had to hold the comic away from me because I didn't want to get tears on it. But it's really good. I don't want to cry right now. It's just like Tom Taylor, who writes the series, he really understands the character, and I really like what he does with her and what he brings to her just emotionally. And it's really, you can really tell that he studied and that he understands her. And I really, really like where her book is going. And there's going to be lots of book left to go. So, yeah. Read all that. I know I spoiled a whole lot for you, but a lot of that was broad strokes, and I didn't get into too much detail. And, I mean, if you read it, you'll understand why I hate Warren so much. He's a prick. And read the Orphans of X storyline. Definitely. If you're not going to pick up all the old issues, if you're not going to pick them up in trade paperback, if you're just going to go on stuff that I've said, and you're going to pick up Orphans of X, pick that up. You should. It's going to be a Lauren and Dakin story. A Laura and Dakin story. Dakin's actually becoming a pretty decent character. He used to always just be asshole all the time, but he's coming into his own finally, thank goodness. It's so good. Just pick it up, read it. And yeah, that's it this week. So, I don't know what we're going to talk about next week. I'm going to figure that out. But be back here next week for that video. I'm Fire Princess Silly. This is Transgirl CNC. And until next time, love comics, love cartoons, and we'll see you later. Bye.